Hi everyone, Wendy here from the Indigo Doors with another installment of the meaning of my paintings. This painting called to me today to talk about because it's one of my favorites actually. And I mean, they're all kind of my favorite, but I really love this painting. And if you don't know who I channel paintings. So I kind of tap into the other side and I work with my guides and my entourage and what information and things they want to bring through. And typically they're spiritual in nature. Sometimes they're psychological or historical. But as I'm painting, I'm given information. And then I kind of remember it and I write some of it down. And then I create these videos for you to kind of experience the process and unravel the teaching that Spirit wanted me to share with you. So it's kind of exciting. I called this painting Coming Home. And I actually created it like 4 years ago. In 2017. And it is like the beginning of the fifth dimensional expansion. And I say that because one, as you see here, let me show you the image. There's 5 rings in it. And that has been a reoccurring theme since, unknowingly, that's representing this fifth dimensional expansion that we're part of. And if you don't know what that is, you can check out our other videos. We're going to talk about that a little bit in this one. But this painting was special to me because I love sacred geometry. I really love the 5 circles here. The 5 circles to me represent the fifth dimensional expansion, and that's basically what they told me. But when I was creating it, I didn't know that for a couple years. Because sometimes I'm painting for the future, like even my own being isn't ready for the information. So I will go back to a painting and they'll talk to me about it then. So it's kind of interesting. It's almost like painting it, put it into creation or the frequency of it before my brain was even capable of processing the information. So on some level, I was ready. On other levels, I obviously was not. Isn't that how life is though, right? So here we have, this is called Coming Home, and it's symbolic because it is the process of working through these 4 and 5 rings. And circles definitely represent ideas, or in a way they represent, or they're encompassing an energy system. And an energy system is an idea, right? So it's going to be the tones to that idea, the words to that idea, maybe the notes to that idea. Think about, an idea is like, it's the difference between like writing a sentence with words or having a whole paragraph versus having a whole book, right? It's like all of these smaller things that are encompassing this one big circle. So there's a lot involved with each circle. And it is about this process or understanding of the balance of the time that we're in. It's almost like becoming comfortable with movement. So the balance within change, right? Because we kind of refer to balance being, almost very calm and peace, right? Peaceful, and settled, right? Grounded. And I feel like we're all working through that right now. How do we become balanced in this time of change and time of chaos, right? Where the world is kind of like everything around us is kind of tumultuous, or it feels that way anyways. And even internally, we're all being faced with fears and parts that need to be loved and healed, right? Those are coming up for me. I know they're coming up for most of us. Just more parts to love, more parts to integrate. We're just going to talk about what this painting symbolizes, but overall you can see the feel. It's very powerful. And so at first I wanted to call it something with the word power in it, like personal power or power in general. Pretty simple. Not that creative when it comes to titles, but because you can see it's very bold, it's very vibrant. There is no questioning what this represents. You can tell it has this strength to it and an understanding to this process. So I really like that about it. I really like the strength that it brings and how it's all kind of tied together in a sacred geometrical way. We'll just start with the red one on the bottom. The red one on the bottom is about feeling safe. The shift that's happening on the planet right now has everything to do with our root chakra, with our pineal, moving out of fight, flight, or freeze, right? We have been living consciously as a collective more reactionary, right? Where we have just put in a certain programming and then we outputted it, like almost like the karmic system, right? If you do something bad, it's going to come back to you. This almost like cyclical nature of even spiritual lessons and even spiritual functioning. That's how it worked. And now we're moving out of that really, and we're responding because we have more consciousness. And that really just means we're just more aware of what's happening, right? We take responsibility that what's going on internally here and here affects the world externally, right? So this red circle is on the bottom for a reason. It's the foundation. Even though this whole system they're sharing with me, the spirit's sharing with me right now, this whole system is moving constantly, meaning it's spinning. So it's never stagnant how we're seeing it here. But for the purpose of understanding what spirit wants us to know, red is on the bottom almost as the foundation of feeling safe. Feeling safe is so important, right? Being safe to be who you are, right? That's where we're at right now. That's kind of the focus, right? Really feeling safe to express ourselves. It's like the foundational support for all these other circles. And we're going to talk about more of those, but knowing that we're safe, that's so important. Let's move. We're going to go clockwise from the red. We're going to go into the blue circle, which is almost like this, if you're on a ship, right? And it had one of those spy holes or even just a glass window. So where you're partly under the water, right? And you're partly above it and part below it, right? So it's this in between, which is symbolic. So it's like in between air and water, right? Kind of like this perfect in between or balance between our thoughts and our hearts. The water being emotions, right? So allowing our emotions to lead us to what we need to look at, right? Because our emotions are parts of ourselves that have a wisdom within us to show us what it is that we need to look at to love, right? If there's a part of you that's afraid or insecure, I'm not saying let it drive the bus. We only let things drive the bus, so to say, is when we're not aware of if we're not aware of a certain aspect of ourselves, right? So noticing our emotional parts and nurturing them and learning how to take care of them in like the best way possible. Like if you're your own soulmate or if you're your own husband or wife, like how would you take care of yourself? Or how would you want your ideal husband or wife or caregiver, how would you want them to take care of you? And that's how we should be taking care of ourselves. This beautiful emotional balance between listening to our thoughts and using our brains and our hearts. It's they both have a place. It's not just listen to your heart and not your head. It's the problem with we have been so imbalanced in this space, in the head space, and that's why you'll hear a lot of teachers talk about following the heart. And that's truly because we're so imbalanced in this space. And so most people have to really rediscover their emotional self, right? How do they really feel about anything? And then our culture supports that behavior where we don't want to know how you feel. We just want to do what's the smartest thing, or the black and white, the conditioning response, right? It's almost like the system or the machine of society isn't built in a way to accommodate the emotions. And I know we could show you lots of evidence with that, right? Even look at any system, Even at school, you can't really show emotions. Kids know you're not supposed to cry, right? Not supposed to cry in front of your peers. It's not cultivated. It's not really supported, let alone the military or at work. We've all been in corporate America, or if you haven't, it's the same. And we're shifting out of that. I'm not talking about that to help feed that. I'm bringing it up just to understand or have an awareness that has existed, and we're moving out of it, right? I'm choosing to move out of that, to become more accepting of these parts of ourselves that are powerful and are really linked to the divine, into our higher selves, right? And into this healing process, this healing that's taken place on the earth, right? This fifth dimensional expansion is a huge piece of it, is this emotional and mental balance. And I don't know if I said this already, because the brain is just programmed, right? So it's going to be based off, the brain is based off of anything old. So the past, the brain is the past. And when you combine the brain and your heart and are open to endless possibilities, there's people out there that can utilize their brains to come up with new ideas. And that is something that has never existed before, but that's almost a combination of the creative life force, your heart, and your emotional and mental bodies. It's like being in perfect rhythm with those things. Beyond that, beyond actually those kinds of experiences, typically the brain is based off old experiences, so it's an old programming. So just being mindful of who's in charge. Is it an old belief system, or is it an emotional, or is it a higher thinking part of you? So this is to the left. So in a way, these represent, this is to the left. So this is really what's coming in, right? So the water and air space, balancing these two parts of ourselves, this is kind of what's coming in first. Once we kind of master that area, we move into this top circle, which is a pretty powerful pyramid. It is a three-dimensional pyramid where we're looking on the very top, which would be like the doorway to the other worlds. But notice that it's surrounded by orange and yellow. And notice how, to get to it in a counterclockwise way, we had to first feel safe, right? Second, we had to get in touch with our emotional self and become aware of our mind and our belief systems, right? Whether we're responding to old belief or patterns, or if we're open to new possibilities and it's a higher part of us. That, once we kind of get that balance, then we move into this circle or ideology where it has something to do with your power. Yellow is like a power color. It's associated with your power chakra. So it's almost like your energy source, right? So it's this like untapped energy that you have, because we're all part of the divine. And within this pyramid that is represented in the center of the circle, it's how you're connecting with the divine. Because as you master and connect and love all of your parts, it's inevitable that you're going to start connecting more and more to the divine. It's just the path to ascension. But surrounding that is this orange circle. So it's almost like what's housing this power, housing this energy, is this orange color. And the orange is a frequency of the second chakra, which is sexuality and creativity. So it's really understanding or freely expressing yourself, right? But this is also the place of creating boundaries. It's an interesting thing, because there is a relationship between your second chakra and emotions, meaning if they're stunted in any way. And stunted has a negative connotation, but stunted means if you've held back anything, if you haven't expressed yourself freely and you felt a certain way but wouldn't allow yourself, or maybe you just didn't want to cry, or you avoided dealing with some kind of pain. We've all done it, right? We're all human. We've all done it. If those situations did occur, it's in this second chakra that we kind of house it. So they just sit there and wait for us, right? Not to mention, I'm sure that's why we have such an epidemic with hip issues, right? Or even ovaries and, the uterus, or lower back pain for guys, right? This is all the same area. So once you're actually freeing yourself of this emotional stuff, emotions within you that you're still waiting for yourself to love, right? Allow yourself to express. Once that's flowing freely, right? And you've mastered that blue circle. We'll get back to the color of why it's blue in a minute. It's related to the bird. I'm sure you can see that. It's really being open to the possibility. Think about it from a feminine standpoint. If this is related to everybody, it doesn't matter if you're a female or a male, but this area of the body is also where the womb is, right? So in a way, the womb is the holder of anything and everything. It's a holder of life, right? And so in this way, it's being open to the possibility of anything to be born, anything, any idea to be born, right? And there's this beautiful trust, right? Because we already feel safe. And there's this beautiful trust with not only relationships, right? But with your sexuality, you really are comfortable with who you are, right? You love all of your parts. So there's no shame here. This is usually the area of the body where we feel shame. So after you allow yourself to express and do all of this emotional work and mental work, psychological work, and you're freely loving yourself, is when you really start to have power. Power is synonymous with self-love. So the more you love yourself, the more you love others automatically, and it's powerful. It is literally the most powerful force in the universe. So as you're, right, the surrounding circle to this pyramid, which is our connection with the divinity within and outward, it's all about this relationship with your sexuality and creativity and being open to the possibility. Like, you can't be open to the possibility if you already think you know the answer to something, right? You can't be open to the possibility if you've already, put boxes around or labeled something, or because everything's always changing, right? Even if you were to label me blonde hair, right? I could change my hair tomorrow. Just as a metaphor for things are constantly changing. So being open to that possibility, right? That's being in flow. And the more you are, the more you're connected with that divinity within, right? That surrendering, that mastery of self, that trusting of self to know that you're going to act when you need to act, you're going to say what you need to say, you're going to hear what you need to hear in the exact moment you need to do all of those things. You're not going to force something to happen when it's not ready, right? And this takes practice, but this is this fifth dimensional kind of rhythm, right? So then we kind of go back to this blue bird, and this is kind of like a blue bird of happiness. And around this blue bird is another circle, of course, but it almost is this braided vine from the earth, right? And that's important. It's an important symbol of even an incorporation of our own DNA. But how this earth itself is this living organism that's housing us. So in a way, we are it and it is us. So it's this understanding that once we master the safety, right, this emotional and mental world, and then the sexuality and creativity and our power is that it's blossoming, there comes a point, this is all internal stuff, right? So there's like 3 internal things, and then there's this one circle over here that is an expression of our relationship with the outside world. So it shows you proportionately how we should be functioning a little bit more. Focus on loving ourselves. That's really, everything is a mirror. Everything that's happening out in the world is a mirror to help us love ourselves more. The more we love ourselves, the more we allow other people to love themselves, we can help them love themselves. And so we're going to keep building and building the frequency on the planet to where there will no longer be like famine. There will no longer be pain. There will no longer be separation. Right? But it is so important that we learn how to take care of ourselves first. Because we're so angry that other people aren't doing this or that for us, or don't know how to love or do this, right? Or they did this to me. But when you love yourself, you can just see their actions for what they are, which is just based out of their own pain or their own place of where they're at, their own consciousness of where they're at. And because it's free will, we allow for that. And we just send them love and we bless them and let them go on their way as they're learning all of these amazing, cool things on this planet Earth. I mean, this is a pretty cool, really is a cool place. So this bluebird is flying around the world, right? It's flying around the world and it's singing. And so it really is meant to be a symbol for you singing your song. You're meant to be your unique self, right? In all of its glory. It is sitting on a stump, right? It's sitting on a stump. And that's also symbolic of things that we've cut away, knowledge that has been cut away. In a way, I feel like, or they're telling me that it is about cutting down what no longer serves us, right? Cutting down some of these belief systems, because trees typically represent, the symbolisms of trees represent knowledge. So in a way, they're saying it's time to cut down some of this knowledge, which is just a belief system. We have to start from ground zero in a way. We have to pretend like we don't know anything. And so if we all of a sudden have to create school structures or government structures, how would we do it now? Because I bet we would do it so differently, right? Because we've learned so much. We really have. How do we create a system that embodies and supports all these different cultures? How do we embody or create a culture where we can listen to each other and have respectful discourse and talk about our pain on both sides and talk about our hurt on both sides of whatever polarity thing that we're talking about, and not point fingers and not say right or wrong, right? That's this cutting down. And when we do that, and even though it might seem like it's desolate and all of the forest is cut down, because that's the time and the place that we're in right now, where we're cutting down these trees, they no longer serve us. So it seems so sad and it seems scary, right? Like, I don't even know what's happening, right? A lot of people feel that way right now because we're cutting down trees. It's becoming very obvious what is not working anymore. So we're cutting down these trees. But in its place, right? When we do these other circles and all these circles where we start, we create safety for ourselves. We create a safe environment within ourselves first, within our home second, right? Where we can fully express ourselves and allow these parts of ourselves to heal. And that means giving them a voice, right? Learning how to repair. Let's learn how to heal ourselves. Let's learn how to change these belief systems from our childhood. Let's learn how to be in flow and surrender and allow myself to be my quirky, crazy self, right? Let's do those things first. And when we do those things, this whole door opens. The solutions are here. The solutions, as you see here, symbolized by this opening of this tree. means things are not as they seem, right? This is not a dead stump on a tree. Dead stump on a tree, of a tree. This is not a dead stump of a tree, right? If you look closely, or if you begin to just shift your perspective a little bit, you'll see that there is actually the doorway to a whole new world, right? And I obviously am talking metaphorically here of what's happening on the planet right now. But that's key. This is like a map in a way. This is a map. What's going on? Bam. This is what's taking place. And it's going to take a couple decades to get this, right? They're saying longer than that. But it is the beginning of this energy system. So when you have these 4 rings kind of moving in and out of each other, there is this overlay of this golden sphere. Because when you're practicing this, and before I get there, before I jump, I was jumping, because this other world, opening into this other world of possibilities, this brand new world where we've never been before, this new earth, right? That's what this world within this stump represents. The bird is so important. It's you. It's your ability to be your unique self and fly, right? You share your unique perspective. You go within and do all of these other rings and share with us what you've discovered in that. By going within, you're going to discover things. And that's what you need to share with the rest of the world. Whether it's your joy of color, or your joy of music or writing, or maybe it's just your joy of putting things together. Okay. All right. So once you begin flying in the world and discover this new world, there is this 5th ring that begins emerging. And this 5th ring is actually always there, right? It's always there. This 5th ring is the divinity, right? Is the other side, is understanding the bigger picture of all of our experiences, of why we're here on the planet, why now, what's going on, our connection with other times, our connection with other people, our connection with the stars, right? There's this emerging that begins happening when you do these things, that you truly recognize that you're a part of a big, big picture. And you cultivate that, right? You cultivate this connection by doing these things, by you just being this free bird and going out into the world, spreading love in whatever form you do, because you're just loving yourself, right? You're loving whatever you're doing. You're allowing yourself to have all that it is that you desire, right? And by doing this, it's all the frequency of love, and you're just flying around. It's cultivating heaven on earth, truly. And once we're embodying these 5 things, recognizing our divinity, feeling safe, flowing with and balancing out our emotions and our minds, holding this energy that we have within us, our connection with our soul, our sexuality, our creativity, creating this beautiful world in which all our needs are met and anything are possible. Anything is possible. And moving through life in this loving way creates divinity on earth in form. And when that happens, when enough of us are doing that, that's when so many things begin to happen. Talking to and with more sentient beings that are not from here. I mean, creating an earth that is free of dis-ease. Talking about technology that would blow your mind, that we would never use in a harmful way. right? Like teleportation and just a whole nother exciting growth opportunity for us. We have to get these things. We have to learn how to love ourselves. We have to learn how to come home while we're alive. And that's why this painting is called Coming Home. And that is the embodiment of it. The last thing I just want to point out before I leave you is there is this web or energetic embodiment surrounding these circles. And that is just to inform me and you that it's a part, this system is a part of a much bigger system, is a part of a much bigger plan, things that we can't even comprehend. Just like I was describing to you when I even created this painting, I didn't even know what I was doing or what it really represented, right? In the same way, we don't know yet all of it, but we're allowed to know this now, which is great. But it's purple, right? And so just that we're not alone, and that they're everyone, all the angels and all of the beautiful loving entities of your spirit guides and all your past loved ones, all our ancestors that have been here before, we're all here together, but they are really supporting us, and they're surrounding us with such loving, beautiful energy. Our higher selves are, right? And it's enveloping us in this big, beautiful weave. So just knowing that we can't make mistakes, right? And be kind, be so kind to ourselves. We're getting it. We're totally getting it. We're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this painting as much as I do. I love it. If you wanted to get a print, they look great. They turned out great, the prints did. I just love this painting. But feel free to go to the website and get one. They're pretty cheap. And I send it with a message. So you get a message of kind of what this painting embodies in a written form. And obviously I sign it and all that good stuff. So, all right, until next time, I send you so much love. And I'm so excited to be with you all on this journey and to share with you my little piece. Until next time, namaste.